Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make a cheesy artichoke dip in an artisan bread bowl. Yes, the cheesy artichoke dip is absolutely delicious with that yummy cheese baked in the oven. But what's going to make this one extra special is that I'm going to finish it off in the oven in a bread bowl, and it's going to look spectacular, smell incredible, and taste delicious. You're gonna love it. I'm going to be using my own no-knead artisan bread that I made yesterday to have ready today for my cheesy artichoke dip. But of course, you can buy a bread bowl if you don't want to make one, but my no-knead artisan bread is so easy to make. I'm going to attach it to this video. It's called No-Knead Kalamata Olive Artisan Bread, but for this video, of course, I didn't add the Kalamata olives. I'm just making it exactly as I show in my video, but without the olives. There's no kneading. It is easy. It just sits on the counter and then you bake it, and then you're good to go. And you can go on to make this delicious cheesy artichoke dip. Of course, you could also make the dip without the bread bowl and just serve it in a regular baking dish, and that's totally fine. But I love the addition of the bread bowl because it just gives this amazing presentation, and of course that yummy bread that you get to eat once you've gotten through all of that artichoke dip is a plus. So let's not wait another second and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 1 Sally That Girl in the Kitchen no-knead artisan bread or sourdough bread. These recipes are already up on my Sally That Girl in the Kitchen YouTube channel, including the sourdough starter. So any of these breads would work beautifully. Or, of course, you can use 1 store-bought artisan or sourdough bread. Just make sure it's round. You're also going to need some non-stick cooking spray, 3 14-ounce cans of chopped artichoke hearts, but if you can't find them already chopped, then of course you can buy them whole or quartered and just chop them yourself. 1 cup of mayonnaise, 10 ounces of shredded Swiss cheese, 16 ounces of shredded mozzarella cheese, and 4 slices of Swiss cheese. You will also need a 9 by 13 glass Pyrex or baking dish, some measuring cups, a large bowl, a spoon such as a serving spoon, a sheet pan or a cooking sheet that you will wrap in some aluminum foil, and finally, if you will be chopping up your own artichoke hearts, then a cutting board and a knife. I prefer chopping them up so that they're roughly chopped as opposed to running them through the food processor, which I find just breaks them up a little too much for my taste. And finally, you will also need some oven mitts and a long, thin knife. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So as I said earlier, I just mixed together my no-knead artisan bread ingredients, and I just left them on my counter overnight. And then the following morning, I shaped it and I baked it. It is the easiest bread you will ever make, and I will for sure include the link in the description because you are going to want to make your own bread. This is a bread recipe you're going to want to be using over and over again, because when you figure out how easy it is to make this gorgeous, delicious bread, you will never want store-bought again. But no judgment if you decide to go to the store and pick up some bread. That's fine. So now, the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees so that it's nice and hot and ready for that dip to go in. Then, if you have pre-chopped artichoke hearts, all you have to do is drain the cans and make sure you remove all of the liquid, and then that's pretty much it. But if you buy them quartered or you buy them halved or whole, then of course just use a knife and then give them a nice chop. This is the size you want. So these come pre-chopped and they're pretty much the size that I need. Maybe I just run my knife over them just a little bit in case there's any large chunks, and then I add them to my bowl. But they're pretty much ready to use. So any of the artichokes you buy is fine. If they're whole, quartered, or half, just chop them up, and they want to look about this size that I show you here. So once you've drained all of the cans and you are satisfied with the size of your artichokes, then add them to your bowl and then add to them 1 cup of mayonnaise. Then use your spoon to just incorporate that mayonnaise amongst the artichoke hearts. Just give it all a really good stir to make sure that that mayonnaise gets well distributed. This dip is so easy, you are not going to believe it. So once you mix the mayonnaise in, then what you want to do is start adding your cheeses. So I'm going to be using a combination of Swiss and mozzarella. And so what I do is I add some of my Swiss and some of my mozzarella cheese, but I don't add it all at once. I add some in, and then little by little I just use my spoon and bring the ingredients together and just incorporate them. And then once I've mixed in that first bunch of cheese, then I add some more of the cheese, but this time I'm gonna save a little bit in each of the bags, some of the Swiss and some of the mozzarella cheese. I'm gonna keep back there maybe like an ounce or 2, and then just put it aside, because when I add the rest of the Swiss and mozzarella, I wanna conserve some of each of these cheeses, because I'm going to use them to then top my cheesy artichoke dip, because that is going to develop a beautiful golden crust on top of my delicious dip. So you definitely want to make sure you save some of both the Swiss and the mozzarella cheeses so that we can sprinkle those on top before we place this delicious dip into the oven. So as you can see, all I'm doing is mixing together the rest of the cheese that I added in. I set aside some that I'm gonna sprinkle on top, and that's it. I'm just using my spoon and mixing them together. I told you earlier, this is the easiest dip you will ever make. And even if you make your own bread bowl, the bread bowl is so easy to make, you're not gonna believe it. So it is easy, and it is impressive, and it is delicious. So once you've incorporated the cheeses, then what you wanna do is you wanna bring over your Pyrex or your baking dish, and then you wanna give it a bit of a spray with your non-stick cooking spray. You wanna make sure to get the bottom and the sides so that your dip does not stick. Then you're just gonna bring over the bowl and use that same spoon that you used to stir all of the ingredients together and just pour all of this delicious artichoke dip into your pan. Then once you get all of the dip in, you just want to use the back of the spoon to spread the dip out amongst the pan, because you just want to make sure that you cover the entire pan and that the dip pretty much has the same thickness running throughout. So just use the side of your spoon and then the back of your spoon to just kind of smoothen the dip out and make sure that it's evenly distributed. So now is when you bring over that little bit of cheese that you had saved earlier. So just grab that mozzarella and bring it over, and then just sprinkle it right on top of this cheesy artichoke dip. And then remember, this is gonna give a golden crust, that beautiful golden crust that we really want, because really when you think about it, this is a very simple combination of flavors. It's just artichoke, mayonnaise, and cheeses. But what brings this dip over the top is that we caramelize that delicious cheese on top, and then we're gonna incorporate that in our bread bowl, and it's gonna really elevate the flavor of the dish. So this step is really important. So once you've done the mozzarella, then grab your Swiss, and you're gonna do the same exact thing. You're just gonna sprinkle it right over the top and just make sure that the entire dip gets just this yummy, cheesy topping. And then once you've sprinkled it all on, then you're pretty much ready to go. Your dip is gonna go into the oven, and it's gonna get golden and bubbly and delicious. And really, for a simple combination of flavors, it is really remarkable. You are gonna be very impressed with the flavor of this dip. So now it's ready to go in the oven, and then put it in because it's been preheated, and just set a 30-minute timer to let it cook. Now, while your dip is in the oven is a good time to prepare your bread bowl if you're going to be using one. So what I do is I cut off the top as shown, and then I use a thin knife to gently just go around the inside and remove some of that inner crumb. What we're doing is creating a bowl out of this bread. So very carefully, because you don't want to pierce the bottom or the sides of your bread bowl, you're just going to go in there with a knife and then just use your hand and just scoop out the inside, the crumb of this bread bowl, and then just make a large cavity in order to fit as much cheesy artichoke dip as you possibly can. You want to stuff this bread bowl with that yummy dip that you created, and so just hollow it out as much as you can, and then you can reserve that crumb because that crumb is perfect to use in some meatballs. You can even make a mini bread pudding out of it. Just definitely use it for something. Nothing around here goes to waste. So now see how beautiful our bread bowl is. It's hollow, it's ready to go. So I'm just going to set aside the top and that crumb that we are not going to be using, but I'm definitely reserving that. I will toast the top up and have it for breakfast, and I'll use that crumb for something. So now, my cheesy artichoke dip has been baking for half an hour and the timer has gone off, but I'm not turning my oven off. Instead, I'm going to switch it to broil, and I'm going to set a 4-minute timer because what I want to do is allow that delicious cheese on top to get golden and brown. But every oven is different, so turn on the light and watch your dip. You don't want to burn it. You just want it to get golden and toasty and delicious. So don't walk away during this process, but look at how gorgeous it looks once you've browned that top. It's cheesy and bubbly, and the cheeses have caramelized, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous, and it smells insanely good. So what I do next is I grab 4 slices of Swiss cheese, and I'm going to pretty much decorate my bread bowl before I stuff it. So I love Swiss because I love those little holes, because I just feel like it makes the bread look artsy and really pretty. So I strategically place the holes on the outer side of the bread because I just really like that look it gives when those pieces of cheese melt onto my bread bowl. It just gives it a beautiful finishing touch that I love so much. So for my size bread bowl, I need 4 slices. Of course, if your bread bowl is a bit larger, then of course use as many slices as you need to line the outside of your bread bowl with cheese. And I've done this process on my sheet pan that I lined with aluminum foil just to make for easier cleanup in case that cheese gets ooey and gooey and oozing. I don't want to make a mess in my oven. So once my bowl is ready, what you want to do is grab your spoon and then just start scooping that amazing cheesy artichoke dip right into this bread bowl. And notice that that crusty upper layer of cheese is going in there in the mix. I'm just going to put it all in the center of this bread bowl, and I'm just using my spoon and I'm just kind of breaking up the pieces of that golden cheese, because when people take some of this dip, I want them to get a lot of that golden caramelized cheese. That's what makes it so special. People are not realizing what is happening and why does it have these like yummy pieces and this texture going on. And when you're eating it, you're not realizing exactly what it is, but what it is that I took that delicious crust and I'm not just going to keep it as an upper layer. I'm going to integrate it in the dip. I'm chopping it up as I put it in, just chopping it up with my spoon, and all those edges and those golden pieces become part of this yummy dip. So then when you serve it, either with a spoon and have some on a plate, or eat it with some crackers, or however you want to enjoy it, you're getting that yummy, golden, delicious, developed cheese flavor in the dip. It's really remarkable. So then once I stuff my bread bowl as well as I can, which in this case pretty much uses about half of that pan of artichoke dip that I have made. So I could actually fill 2 bread bowls with this amount of dip. So of course you can cut the recipe in half, or in my case, I just love to have that bigger pan of the dip because as it is consumed, especially if you're serving it for guests, you can refill the bowl as needed and just have a whole second batch of that amazing artichoke dip. Not to mention that I love to have some leftovers because why not? Especially if I'm making it for a company, I definitely want to have some that we can have the next day because it is absolutely delicious. But sadly, half of the time we just don't get leftovers because I am going to refill the bowl because this is going to fly. So notice what I do. Once it's really, really stuffed, then I make sure to grab those caramelized pieces and place them right on top because I want them in the dip, but I also want to create a coating, a beautiful golden coating that I'm putting on top because I want it to look beautiful and golden and caramelized. So of course you saw me breaking up those pieces of caramelized cheese and stuffing them inside the bread bowl, but then I just want to layer the top of the bowl with a few of those caramelized pieces just to finish it off and make it look really golden and beautiful and delicious. And then of course, those yummy slices of Swiss that we have lining the bread bowl are going to really just finish off this beautiful presentation. Because what we're going to do is we're going to stick this entire tray back into the oven, and then it is going to help melt that incredible Swiss cheese over this beautiful homemade bread bowl that I'm using, and that incredible dip that is stuffed inside is just going to create the most amazing appetizer you've ever experienced. It's yummy, it's delicious, and like I said, you have a whole other half that you can use to then refill the bowl if you need, or you can just save it and eat it later. So now you're going to pop that tray back into the oven with the bread bowl in it, and then you're going to turn on your broiler and you're just going to watch it. It's not going to take more than a minute or two for that cheese that is lining the bread bowl to just get melty and just slightly golden, and then it's ready. You're just going to pull it out of the oven and it's going to look so beautiful. Look at how nice those pieces of Swiss cheese have just melted on to that amazing artisan bread bowl. Tell me this doesn't look absolutely delicious. It's golden and it's beautiful with that dip inside with those golden pieces of cheese running throughout. And of course, the bread can be consumed too. I mean, it's absolutely delicious bread with cheese on top. So as you eat that dip and as it becomes less full, then you can just start breaking off pieces of this bread, and it's absolutely delicious. It's beautiful. It's savory. It's just so pretty. And I just have to show you all around. Look how gorgeous it looks from every angle. I mean, what is more fun than just twirling around your appetizer? And then, as I said, I still have half a tray there. I can refill, or I can just save that for later, for tomorrow, for whenever, because it's really, really that spectacular. It's really just an impressive, easy to make appetizer. It's just beautiful, but how easy was that? I mean, the dip itself is so simple, and even the bread, I promise you, you have to look up my no-knead Kalamata olive artisan bread recipe. It's the same recipe that I used here, just without the Kalamata olives, and it's just perfect for this dip. It's just the perfect vessel. I mean, what better than an edible bowl, really? Now, it's time to taste this delicious, cheesy, yummy artichoke dip, because of course my kitchen smells spectacular and I'm just dying to have a taste. And I'm going to be having it with some pita chips because that is my favorite way to eat it. I just absolutely love the crunch and the combination of textures and flavors. It's just perfect, but you can serve it any way you want because look at this, so good. Oh my goodness, I can't wait to take a bite. It's just golden and beautiful and just yummy. Ooh. Wow. Oh my. This is so good. It's just yummier every time I make it. It's just an incredible, incredible recipe that you're gonna wanna make over and over through the years. It's yummy, it's flavorful, it's cheesy, it's got those golden bits of cheese running throughout, and it's creamy, and it's just so delicious. Oh my goodness, I need to have some more because look at this. I mean, how could you not? It's so tasty. Really, you're gonna love this so much. So good. Oh my, this is really addictive. It's so good. I just want to have it all. It is yummy. Just make sure you share. So how amazing does this look? It is so delicious. That incredible artichoke dip is spectacular, and it's the perfect appetizer, or it's just great for a game day or when you're just getting together with some friends. I've actually taken this over to different friends' house when I've been invited over because it just makes for an incredible appetizer. Absolutely delicious. Everybody loves it. And it's just so much fun to make. I mean, how beautiful does it look inside that amazing bread bowl with that cheese oozing over the top? This is really something spectacular that you are going to love. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try to make this recipe yourself. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. I really appreciate when you do. And if you haven't done so already, remember to subscribe to my channel and to touch that little notification bell so that you don't miss out on so many amazing recipes that I already have up on my channel and that I'm constantly adding. So please remember to subscribe. Subscribing is free, so why not? If you're not already following Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on social media, you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. And you can follow me also as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. See you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.